Hi everybody, Jake here with DmaxStore, and today we're going to be servicing the transmission on our 2018 GMC Canyon with a Duramax. So we did just replace the torque converter in the last video that you guys saw, so we're going to obviously need to fill it back up with fluid. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you guys how to actually do a transmission filter service, as this is recommended from GM about every 45,000 miles. So GM calls for Dexron 6 compliant fluid, which is the same as it is for the 2001 to 2019 GM 2500 and 3500 trucks. So we use Transynd 668 for its superior wear protection and its long service life. It is pretty simple to service these transmissions. All you gotta do is drain it and then fill it back up. It's got a fill level check on the actual pan itself. So we're gonna go ahead and show you guys how that whole process goes. And you do need to change out the internal filter. For this service, GM calls for 6.7 quarts of fluid. We did have to use a little bit more, obviously, because of the torque converter being taken out and everything. But if you're just doing your regular service every 45,000, it's going to take 6.7 quarts of Dex 6 compatible fluid. Again, we use Transynd 668. You're going to start by removing the level check plug, and that's going to drain any additional fluid. You're going to want to make sure that you do have a pan under there to catch any fluid out of there. This is going to be when the truck is off, obviously, so you're going to drain a little bit of additional fluid to help combat anything coming out of the drain pan, make it a little bit cleaner of a job. Then you're going to go ahead and remove all the transmission pan bolts. We like to leave the front two still in place and then kind of drop the back of the pan down. It's going to allow the fluid to come out of the back side of the pan and into your drain pan, so you're not going to have a super big mess when you're dropping this transmission pan. And you can see Eric's just kind of slowly removing that last bolt while it's draining the fluid. Then you take the pan gasket off, and it's time to take the internal filter out. So there is a gasket on the internal filter, so you're going to want to get the GM tool to go ahead and remove that seal from the valve body, as that cannot be in there when you put the new filter in, because the new filter comes with the new gasket, and you're just going to put that gasket onto the filter, press that into the valve body, and you should be good to go. You're going to want to make sure that you do clean off the magnet that is inside the transmission pan. It probably is going to have a little bit of metal on it like this one. Just make sure you do wipe that completely clean, and then you can place it back into the clean transmission pan. All right, now you can go ahead and reinstall the transmission pan onto the truck. You're going to go ahead and put on all of the transmission pan bolts. And then once you get all the transmission pan bolts on, you're going to want to go ahead and torque it to 80 inch-pounds. That's 80 inch-pounds. So it's not super tight. They're pretty small bolts, so 80 inch-pounds is what you need to torque these to. So you are going to have to fill up this transmission from the side. You're going to have to take the dipstick tube out. Make sure you clean that surface so no debris actually gets into the transmission. We use a Motive fluid transfer pump that's actually going to pump it into the transmission, as you can see in this GM illustration here. Once you fill it with your 6.7 quarts, you're going to go ahead and want to turn the truck on, because you have to check the level when it's actually warm. Checking the fluid level actually has to be done between 86 and 122 degrees Fahrenheit for the transmission fluid. So in order to achieve this, you will have to turn the vehicle on, and you're going to run it through each gear. So starting in park, you're going to want to have it in every single gear for at least 3 seconds, and then you can return that to park. You're going to want to make sure it's idling between 5 and 800 RPMs. If you do need to warm up the fluid more, you can depress the brake pedal and kind of power brake it and get it up a little bit warmer to get to that desired temperature of 86 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. This really should not take very long, but the hot fluid level check is key to getting the accurate fluid into the transmission. If you have it underfilled, it could cause premature damage, and if you have it overfilled, you can actually cause aeration in the fluid, and that can cause your transmission to overheat. So you're going to want to keep the vehicle running while in park. You're going to want to make sure it's on a nice level surface when you're checking it. You're going to want to drop the rear fill check plug. So that's going to be towards the back of the transmission pan. You're going to take that out, and what you're going to want to see is a steady drip. You're not going to want to see it just running out of there without any drips, and you don't want to see no fluid coming out. So once it has a nice steady drip is when you want to put that plug back in, and you should be set to go. Then you're going to want to torque that down. So if it is a steady stream, then you're going to wait for it to drip. And if there's no fluid coming out at all, you're going to want to keep filling it up with transmission fluid until you see a nice drip coming from that plug. Then you're going to go ahead and reinstall that plug. For this service, GM calls for 6.7 quarts of fluid. We did have to use a little bit more, obviously, because of the torque converter being taken out and everything. But if you're just doing your regular service every 45,000, it's going to take 6.7 quarts of Deck 6. Once you have the fluid filled up to the appropriate level, you're going to go ahead and reinstall that level check plug. Go ahead and check the transmission for external leaks with the vehicle running, just so you make sure nothing else came loose. Make sure that pan's on tight and it's not coming from anywhere else. And after you make sure there's no external leaks, you should be good to go. Thank you guys for watching, and follow us for more on DmaxStore.